I have a voice.
This is the world through my eyes.
Where people and events impact us.
And have the power to change.
I am one of those people.
I am one of those people.
I will never stop learning.
And never stop questioning.
This is my promise.
I have a voice.
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 And this is our forum.
Hello, and welcome to the Forum. I'm your guest host today, Orrin White, the Assistant Director of Community Engagement for United Way of Delaware. If you have seen the Forum before, you know that we speak with young people about topics that are important to them. It's an opportunity to hear what they have to say and perhaps answer some of their questions as well. On today's show, we're going to talk about the summer. With school beginning to wind down, families are mapping out their plans for the summer. This can be an easier task when children are very young, and the main decision is which day camp to enroll them in. But it gets a bit trickier when students reach their later teen years. Bored with the thought of another year at day camp or aged out, students in upper grades frequently have no set schedule or goals for the summer months. One professor, who will be conducting 2 Red Clay Parent University sessions on learning during the summer months, he urges students to set clear academic and financial goals for the summer. Dr. Stephen Jones, he's an assistant dean of the College of Engineering at Villanova University. He has published books and articles on how students can continue to succeed during the summer. He says this is the perfect time to bone up on difficult material from the year before, hone your reading skills, or take a learning vacation. July and August can also be spent not only on earning some money for college, but writing essays for scholarships. Let's see what our students have to say about that. Let's introduce our panel. Today we have with us Keith James and Anthony Parker, and also from Cab Calloway of the Arts, we have Matt Lucatamo, who is a junior, and a senior, Nicole Mejia. Welcome to you all, and thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're just going to start with a few questions, and we're going to be talking all about the summer today.
All right.
So specifically, what are you guys' plans for the summer?
So I'm going to be doing an internship with Bank of America. It's for Teach for America.
Okay.
So Bank of America sponsors the whole program, and 200 students do it in the U.S., and I was one of the 5 selected for Delaware.
Oh, awesome.
So,
Congratulations.
Really great.
Thank you. And it's great because I get to learn about the major that I'm going in, which is elementary education.
Oh.
It's firsthand experience, and like you mentioned before, I'll be earning money to save for college or any book supplies, anything like that.
Definitely. Does anybody else have an opportunity like that that's presented to them for the summer?
Not an internship, but
Okay.
I have 3 shows lined up to do this summer.
Great.
They're all at Cecil County Community College in Maryland. And one is Les Miserables. And then the other 2 are Stephen Sondheim shows.
Okay.
One's Company and the other one is Merrily We Roll Along. And on top of doing that, at night during the summer, I'm also working. I work at the Christiana Mall.
That's awesome.
And it's cool to have responsibility and balance, what you like to do versus what, you got to start getting a job.
Definitely.
You're becoming an adult. So for what you like to do versus what you kind of have to do,
Correct.
I like
it. Keith, anything to add?
Well, over the summer, I'll be, attending some summer classes at Wilmington University as well as working at United Way of Delaware.
Okay.
And, with that, it's kind of like the best of both worlds because, my passion is really within, like, working with young people because, with music or, just create critical thinking on, bettering our community. And United Way allows us to do that through our Youth Advisory Council. So I think, that's really where my attention is going to be this summer. And we also have the opportunity to work with some interns as well that we get to bring on. And they go out and pretty much, talk to other youth about, the life map experience, which gets to talk to them about, the adversities they go through in life and some of the assets that they have in their life through the 40 developmental assets that the Search Institute founded. So
Definitely.
This is going to be a great summer.
Awesome. Anthony, what are your plans for the summer?
I plan on doing a whole lot. A whole lot. I do a lot with photography, United Way as well, going a lot with the volunteering, with the advisory council.
Great.
So doing a whole lot of different ways to get out there into the community. I plan on doing a lot.
Awesome. Great. Definitely. So, do you have any specific goals for the summer? So we heard a lot about your plans, but each of you are kind of entering a different phase of the summer because you're in different parts of your life. So any specific goals for the summer? We'll start with you, Nicole.
Well, I want to be prepared for college because it's such a huge change from high school. So my goal is to be able to have some time to start looking into how I'm going to prepare for the schoolwork and the
course.
heavy load while I'm still working and trying to have fun too.
Definitely, definitely. That's great. How about you, Matt?
Tacking on to the college, since I'm a junior, now is my prime opportunity to look at colleges, because 6 months in October, November, I'm applying for college. So my goal this summer is to visit all the schools that I can and really pick one that I think best suits what I'm looking to do and what kind of person I am.
Awesome. Well, Keith, you started at Wilmington University this year. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Is there any advice that you can offer to them as they're getting into the swing of knowing what that college life will be like?
I mean, I think the best advice is just be very comfortable with yourself. Going into college, depending on what type of college you go to. See, me, it's like a smaller college, but it's a very diverse school, and just going in there and being comfortable with yourself in the classroom. I would say sit in the front, sit in the front of the classroom, because that's where you really have all the information. And if there was anything that I ever missed, my teacher never had an issue, giving me that, repeating something for me. But the person in the back who was on their laptop and all you hear was mouse clicking all class, when he asked a question, she was, hesitant about giving them that information. She still gave it to him, but, work with your teachers and, try not to be so stressed. It is a transition from high school, but at the end of the day, it's you're grown. When you go in there, it's just different. The teachers are more flexible, and if you build a relationship with your teacher, I think that college experience will be excellent.
So to kind of piggyback on the question that we originally asked, now that you've given them that advice, being in college, what are your goals looking like for the summer?
Well, as far as college is concerned, is to come out with 9 more credits onto my transcript and, just continue to learn. I'm taking up behavioral science, and I just want to, use that major as well as what I'm doing with the youth engagement department at my job to just kind of figure out the best practices. Instead of researching and finding out what others done, I kind of want to conduct my own studies because I believe each community is different. And Brian Gallagher of United Way Worldwide, he said, now there's no one community that's more important than another.
That's true.
And when he said that to me, that really stuck. So that's kind of what I want to do for the summer. That's my goal.
Great. And Anthony, what are your goals for the summer?
Goals, dreams. Last year, I do a lot of event hosting and emceeing. I hosted at least 20 events. So I plan on doubling that, so 40, 60 events just to get my name out there.
Wow.
Ooh,
Great,
40 or
great.
60.
So you guys have some very, very stark goals for each other, and I'm hoping that each of you are going to keep in contact to make sure that you guys are staying up on your goals, because that's the most important thing to do when we are functioning together, is understand that we are much stronger together than we could ever be apart. So I hope that each of you stick together and help each other reach their goals. Okay? All right. So I have another question. Do we think there's too much pressure on today's kids to get things accomplished over the summer? Now, I know it's a little loaded question, so you guys can take your time, but we really just want to get a sense of saying, going into the summer, whether you're in high school or whether you're approaching college, do you feel as though there's a lot of pressure on you to get certain things done in preparation for the next move?
I think so.
Okay.
Still being in high school, you get the classic. It's the end of the year, and you're like, for me, I'll be coming back as a senior. So they say to you that end of the year, make sure you go to your teachers and pick up your summer work. I mean, and I understand having to keep the brain fresh throughout the summer, but everybody procrastinates. I mean, I know I do. So it gets to that point where there's 2-3 weeks left of summer, and suddenly you're cramming to finish all this stuff, and I feel like that's where the stress lies. And I don't know if it's so much whether because of the work we got or because of our lack of work ethic in the summer, because we just need a break. But I feel like when you come back to school, that stuff that you had to do over the summer, you don't really apply it a whole lot. So I don't know. I would like it to be a little more useful to me as a student. I think
I'd agree with that, because I mean, when we had the summer reading, they give us these books that we had to read in each grade. Into high school, we had to add on another book, and so but we get it at the end of the summer, and then we have no type of engagement with our teachers throughout the summer. So I don't think there's enough pressure put on us, so it's kind of like a mixed feelings. I think it is a lot of pressure, from our perspective, because we have to read these 2 books, even though 2 books isn't really that much if you really sit down and go through it, knock it out. But as far as us being engaged and constantly learning, I don't think there's enough pressure put on us from our teachers, from our schools, from the adults in our community. I think we can always be better, and I think we can always have that extra push to keep doing more than what we're used to. Because I think in order to grow as a person, you have to be pushed outside of your comfort zone. And that's what I've seen, with the youth in the city of Wilmington, at least, we have to push them kind of like outside of the city for them to have dreams about, going to college or going, out, outside of these states, because a lot of them don't get to see outside of Wilmington. Some of them haven't even been to a Blue Rocks game or don't know who the Delaware 87ers are. So these are the things that, they inspire to do, and that we just want to make sure that we push them to, think bigger than just Delaware. Think big, Mr. White.
Okay. Nicole, Anthony, would you guys like to add anything about the pressure?
I definitely agree that the pressure varies. Like you're saying, depending where you come from, your personal family, and how your parents motivate you. I think that sometimes the summer can be, you have so much pressure because you just got done your school year and you have test after test and projects and all this stuff. So you want to kind of wind down and find a way to hang out with your friends and enjoy yourself. But then, like Matt was saying too, at the end of the summer, it all crawls back up to get you if you don't complete your work on time.
Definitely.
So it's hard.
Great. Anthony?
Like she said, it also depends on your community, where you're from. It's a different push between communities. So say like they push you to keep you out of trouble. That's where most of your work comes from. They push you to make sure that you're doing the right things to keep out of trouble, to keep doing the things that you're supposed to do. And that's the push that you need.
Definitely. So I have another wild card question for you guys. I understand that the Forum is a show that's watched by a lot of youth in the Red Clay School District. And Keith alluded to us really having an emphasis on the assets that are in our community. So to give youth an idea of how to deal with the pressure they may deal with in the summer, I'm going to ask each of you to name one asset that's present in your life that'll help you overcome that pressure that you're going to deal with in the summer. Cole, we'll start with you.
So in order to overcome that pressure, I think that it's important to reach out to the people in your community, to older family members, seek their advice, see what they have done in the past, and try to find resources to do different activities, and find, if you need help balancing that schoolwork and you're having fun, maybe seek some kind of tutoring program or something like that.
Definitely. An asset for you, Matt.
This may seem a little cliche coming from an art school, but honestly, art, because art is one way that you can connect. You don't have to know the person. You can connect to them somehow, versus not versus, wrong word. You can connect to them through what the art's trying to the art speaks differently to everyone.
Correct. Okay.
So you can have one piece of art and it can be universal and connect to 8 different people about 8 different things.
Okay.
And I feel like that's an aspect that draws community together.
Definitely. Asset for you, Keith.
I think really for me, just being optimistic about my future. I think, when I'm constantly thinking about what I want to be in life, all the things I want to do in life, it makes it harder for people to come in and kind of, distract me or push me off track. So, I think it would definitely be being optimistic about my future, but also, remembering those people that you can go to and talk to get advice, because a lot of the times we feel like we don't have anybody we can talk to. So I think if anybody can do something over summer, is have somebody you can call. I call Orrin.
Okay, Anthony, asset for you.
Yeah, definitely developing a friendship or finding a mentor, someone that will be able to push you to get to that object or to that ending part of your life. So.
Definitely. Okay, so we're going to switch gears a little bit to talk about the summer. The question is really around, is the summertime an opportunity for youth to get in trouble? So I'm asking you, does the summertime present a lot of opportunities for youth to get in trouble? And if they do present those opportunities, what do they look like and how can youth overcome them? So I don't want to call on anyone. I kind of want to give everyone the opportunity to think about it a little bit. And if you do have an answer, feel free to start the conversation.
I'll take it.
Okay.
All right, I'll take this side first. Summertime is really filled of, for kids, it's really boredom. Like if you don't attend a community group or don't have an organization to go to, you don't have anything to do. So that's one of the main things that trouble comes from. So I think if you become a part of one of those organizations, that's how you can get overcome those obstacles of being in trouble or facing those troublesome times.
Great.
So.
Great. That's wonderful.
I think for me over the summer it was an opportunity for me to get in trouble because, like Parker alluded to, there was no resources for me to go to. There was no nonprofits or anything like that. But I think when the young people come into our youth advisory council, they talk about all of the things that could happen over the summer, and they're kind of like on the preventive side now, talking about how can we get more youth in. So I know they're talking about going out and recruiting, going out on the streets where people aren't going into the community centers or they aren't going to schools and they're not being engaged, and they kind of want to just go out there and engage them. It does, there is a lot of free time on your hands, and we know with the city of Wilmington, a lot of people think that that's when the violence peaks, but I think if we can really impact our young people and, make an effective change on our youth, that we can avoid that, completely.
Definitely,
Yes, sir.
definitely. Matt and Cole?
I think that, summer, I feel like you said, summer's about boredom. And I think if you build those community relationships, whether it be with family members, your friends, or your neighbor even, you have those resources to, kick the boredom.
Right.
And I feel like people think, kids having friends during the summer and being able to drive places on their own is what creates trouble. But I feel like in our day and age, people think, having fun is synonymous with like breaking some sort of rule.
Oh,
And
okay.
it doesn't always it doesn't have to be. You can have a great time and, not cause any harm or endanger anything,
So alternative forms of entertainment for our youth is really what we're looking for to keep them out of making negative decisions. Is that what you can agree on?
That's what I think, yeah.
Definitely. Nicole?
So I think that in the summer, the reason there tends to be more trouble, or we associate that, when you're during the school year, you have your strict schedule. Wake up at this time, go to school, classes, come back home, maybe have dinner, fall asleep, do homework, whatever. And in the summer, you have it's all transformed for you. You wake up at different times, go to sleep at different times, and
It's
you're
free reign.
you don't have anything keeping you strictly busy. So I think that it's important to just try new things and dream big. Like Google stuff that you can do, look for opportunities and camps in other states, maybe a different country. Because I think that if you just try and seek new opportunities, you could just surprise yourself.
Definitely. So
Yeah.
it sounds like we're saying we need youth to begin to keep a strict schedule, not finding yourself with too much free times on your hands, but keeping a basis of a schedule so that you don't get too far away from the structure that you've developed during the school year. That's great. Okay, so our next question. Do you think summer is too long? Some districts have year-round school, and their summer break is 6 weeks and not 10. So how do we respond to that question? As youth, do we think that summer break is too long?
No. I say no because I get the whole idea of having a structure, and I have complete self-diagnosed OCD. I have to be structured. Things have to be done away from me. Like I have a schedule that I run on, and the summer, it's nice to like working my job. It's nice to I'll be doing this I'll be doing my job exactly from this time to this time, and then I'll have free time afterwards to do whatever I want. And then from this time to this time after that, I'll eat or go see a movie or something. And I feel like the summer's a good amount of time to balance, your responsibilities with your free time.
Definitely. Great. Any other replies?
I think summer is, depending on how you spend it, it can either be too long or too short. If you're doing things that are effective and, efficient for you, is benefiting you in your education or your personal life or whatever your dreams are, then, summer should be the normal 70 days. I thought it was 104 because of Phineas and Ferb, I'm not going to lie. But nah, I think, it just all depends on what you're doing. I think, youth that have more structure and youth that have, more plans for the structure, yeah, they're going to expect a longer summer. But people who just don't know what the next day holds, some youth are out here and they really don't know what they're going to eat over the summer because they're used to the free lunch at school, things like that. So, and that could lead to, like we said, to getting into some trouble or getting into violence, things like that. So, it all depends on, who you ask and, what area they're living in or what background they come from. But, I guess that's kind of like a yes and no answer. You know what I mean? I'm never direct, but but I think it's very true, though. I think it's very true how we spend our summer. It does have an effect on how long it should be. If we're not being efficient, I think the summer should be shorter. But if we are being more efficient as a community, not just one school or one class of people, but as a community, then I think that's something we should look into.
Okay. Any other replies?
I just want to tack on to what I already said about what you said actually about keeping busy. Being in shows over the summer, like again, you have scheduled rehearsals, and even though it's structured, I don't mind because it's what I love to do.
Right.
So I'm not going to say wasting my time because it's not. It's like it's beneficial to me, and then like it's building me as a person. Like it's structural. So I don't mind committing to that because I love to do it. So
Great.
yeah.
Okay, great. So we'll move forward. I have a worksheet from Dr. Jones, 7 ways on how to use summer activities to study. So the question is, do you think about studying over the summer?
It depends on the material. Say you're studying for me personally. I like music. I like anything music, anything artsy. I would study that. I would read books every day on music if I could.
Right.
So that's just me. I don't know about anyone else.
So finding a hobby,
Yeah.
definitely, or something that makes you feel
That
good
piques
to
your
study
interest.
over the summer, not just academics. Any other replies?
You want to go?
Whatever, it's fine.
Okay. So I had my 10th grade English teacher, Miss Protakovich. She gave us an assignment over the summer was to read this book, and you should give us like a list of projects that we could do associated with that book. And one of the projects was pick 10 songs that you would soundtrack the book to. So like pick pivotal points in the book and pick a song that you thought related to that. So every time I read the book, I was thinking of a song, or every time I thought of a song, I think of how it would apply to the book.
Right.
So in that sense, I did think about studying over the summer, and it didn't, it made me not mind having to summer read.
Okay. So alternative ways of keeping you involved is the way to go for most youth, if we're
Yeah.
getting some information out. Okay. Nicole?
I definitely thought about studying over the summer, but sometimes it wasn't that easy to go through, whether I didn't have enough energy to do it or I had a busy schedule. But before senior year, my goal was to work on like my senior research paper and my college essays. But at the same time, when summer came around, I didn't get as much done as I wanted to.
Okay.
And I think that it's good to have that time to relax and not focus on too much schoolwork, but I think that it's also important to find a way to implement the academics so that when you go back to school you still remember some stuff. And I know like sometimes over the summer, even when you try to write, after not writing every single day at school, it's such a hard adjustment. So I think it's important to find a balance.
Yeah.
So I think the overarching message would be something is always going to be better
Yeah.
than nothing. And
Yes.
as long as we're focused on something that keeps us stimulated throughout the summer, it'll give us the ability to do well in our fall courses. That's great. Do your schools assign a lot of work over the summer months?
No, I don't think so.
It depends like on the courses
Yeah,
you
like
take too.
I feel that CAB is very, it's appropriate. The amount of work they give you is appropriate for the class. Like I know for my pre-calc honors class, you had a whole packet of review, and it was, and when you got back the week after summer, you had a test on it.
Okay.
So that was kind of the push to want to focus on the summer work because you got back and you were immediately tested on it. It was the
Right.
first grade of the marking period.
Okay.
But I feel it all depends on how involved your curriculum is going to be that year.
Great.
I definitely agree with that. It does vary based on your courses, and I think that it's important. Most like in our English class, most of the time you have to read certain books, like you guys were saying earlier, and then you have maybe like an essay that you have to do in class. I think that when our teachers try to make it more engaging and creative, you enjoy it more. So like Matt mentioned, with picking soundtracks for a book, they try to give us like a variety of options.
Okay.
So I think that it makes it a little bit more enjoyable.
That's great. Great. Ed?
I went to Mount Pleasant High School. I was one of those students that came in, did my work, and left. So when I got my summer work, it was easy. Summer reading book and like a math packet. I did it, and that was it. I didn't have any it was just that easy. Did it, and I was done. So it was just enough work to get through the summer and get me back in school.
That's great. Keith, anything to add?
If we're being honest, I never did any of my summer work.
Okay.
I never did any of my summer work. And not that I was a bad student, but it was just like, it was summertime for me, and I felt like that was my time to like relax and sit back and just chill, hang out with friends. But I think the workload isn't too hard because somehow I always got the book done. Because you said the second week of school you have a test on these, and that's when your reading is turned in and everything. So just quick browser on Spark Notes and just figure out what the gist of the book is, and then write my own words on it. And that's what I did. And that's not a good thing, and I wouldn't tell anybody to go do that. But at the same time, that's how I did it because that was a lot easier. I thought I was thinking more strategically because I got the work done. I still got a good grade.
Right.
I just didn't have to do all the work, and I was just like, hey, it worked, and that's what I did from there. So I don't think it was a lot of work. I got it done in a week.
So I would ask, any advice for students who are struggling with that summer work? Maybe they're struggling with keeping their focus. Maybe they're struggling with the content. What advice would you have for those youth to be successful?
I would say, again, going back to the whole structure thing, I would say, you're just out of school. Give yourself a couple days to just chill. Don't do anything. You just got out of school for all of 9 months. Just sit, do whatever you want.
Okay.
But then, that week, the second week of summer vacation, maybe take a look at your summer work and see how much of it you have to do, and plan how much you're going to do per week.
Right.
So that way your brain is still stimulated throughout the whole summer. You're not overloaded. So, but at the same time, it's not also coming to, the end of summer and you feel like you forgot everything. You're constantly keeping your brain moving, working on something.
Correct. Definitely. Any other advice?
I think try to find some time each day to set aside, maybe an hour for reading one day, and then the next day an hour working on a math packet or something.
Okay.
And I think it's important to find like a comfortable area where you can relax. So what I tried, going outside, maybe just sitting down like on the grass or in a chair under the sun. I felt like that was a nice way to have some of the summer experience because you're outside, not indoors, but you're still getting work done, and it's relaxing. So try something new.
That's where you pull out the hammock.
Yeah. Try something new and it might work.
I think, just getting involved with groups. I know with our Youth Advisory Council, we have some of our youth who are getting ready to go to college. So over the summer, we're going to be doing financial literacy courses, college applications, FAFSA forms, college, essays and things like that. So I would say, get involved with a group to where you can really have those, people around your age or, focusing on the same major that you want to focus on, and, start to study with them, because as Orrin said at the beginning, we're much, stronger together than we will ever be apart. So if you take one stick, you try to break it, it's going to be easy, but you take 10 sticks and try to break it, it's going to be a lot harder. And I think that's what you should do, like really find that core group that you can have that, if you're lacking, they're going to be able to be that push that you need. And I think that's very important to have. That's what I have through my team at United Way of Delaware. Me and Parker work together a lot, and I know over the summer we're going to be doing studying. But, not the traditional studying, pulling out books and just reading, but, looking at different ways to engage our minds in things that we're interested in. I think we were just kind of stuck on, let me open this book and read. But instead of, saying, okay, by the end of the week, I want to learn 3 new things about these topics that I never thought of. And then that's a way for us to just keep us thinking and always keeping, growing our mind each and every week. So I think it's important.
That's awesome. Anthony?
I would definitely say if it's not a group, get either one person or a positive figure, whether it's an adult, or even get your teacher's number so that you can call her if you have a question on the summer work. Me, I would get that work out the way so I can have the rest of the summer just to relax and chill. That's
strategic.
So I have a follow-up question for you, Keith. You talked a lot about the Youth Advisory Council. If there's a youth that's currently watching the forum with us right now, they're saying, I'm interested in the Youth Advisory Council. How do I get involved?
You can get involved in many different ways. You can go to uwde.org, or you can go, you can reach out to us. My email is kjames@uwde.org. But we're out in the community. There's so many that we have a Facebook page, United Way of Delaware's Youth Advisory Council. Yeah, I mean, there's many different ways to contact. There's many different avenues, but I would definitely say just email me at kjames@uwde.org, or every third Saturday over the summer, we'll be meeting at 625 North Orange Street, which is on the west side of Wilmington, and that's down the street from Del Tech. So if you know that, 625 North Orange Street, and just come out there. Third Saturday, 10 a.m. From 10 to 11, we have breakfast with parents just to talk to them about what we're talking to the youth about, how we're engaging, and to also, get to know our youth a lot more, through the parents' perspective. And then from 11 to 1, we constantly engaging with the youth, like from our icebreaker to the very end. We're doing something that's engaging. We had the drunk goggles a couple months back where we put them on, and they were trying to catch and do puzzles, and they weren't able to do that. So then we said, well, imagine trying to drive a vehicle with these on, and then imagine really being drunk. You know what I mean? And I think that was an eye-opener for a lot of the young people. That was right before the holidays or right before the times, winter break and the partyings usually happen. And I think we, definitely had an impact on our community with the young people that we serve by, keeping them out of, harm's way, by showing them the effects of, drugs and things like that. So 625 North Orange Street.
Sounds like a great program. Okay, so I'm on my final question, guys. So the final question is, if you were able to tell your parents anything about how you feel about summer, what would it be and why?
Tell our parents anything. Get your kids in United Way of Delaware.
Any other information from our guests?
I would say that it's important for parents to be supportive of their kids. I know that sometimes it can be hard because depending where you come from, sometimes your parents work a lot over the summer and they don't have as much time to sit down and relax with their kids. So I think it's important to offer support and motivate them to keep their schoolwork, their summer work, keep it going.
Definitely.
Have some fun too. And I think that parents should, at the end of the day, find a way to have fun with their kids. Maybe put one day off in the month to go to the beach or go to the park.
Right.
Because I think that it's important for a student to have that connection with their parent, to feel like they have that motivation from them, but they can also lay down and enjoy some time with them.
That's great. Matt?
I mean, I'm going to tack onto that. I think familial support is a huge, huge thing. Like, I know, you know, again, going back to musical theater stuff, when my friends or family come to see a show that I'm in, I feel so great about it. Like, it makes doing the show so much more valuable.
Great.
Because now you have something, you know, you're looking forward to. After you're looking forward to talking to them afterwards and them telling you how good it was, or maybe how not good it was. I mean, you know, whatever.
Right.
So it's nice to have that, like, that backbone. And I feel like sometimes, you know, especially teenage years, kids think, you know, parents are the enemy.
Right.
And I think that you need to open up to your parents a little bit and say, you know what, do you want to do something? Not saying I'm going to go do something with someone else, but ask them if they want to do something. Like,
Great.
do you want to go to the beach? Or do you want to, I don't know, go out in the garden or whatever? You know, anything that can be a cliche, but a bonding experience, you know, to stronger build that backbone.
Great.
And I think to piggyback off of what he says, I mean, I think the number one thing that parents should know about youth over the summer is to constantly empower those dreams. I think, you know, summertime is when, you know, those dreams, you know, they're dreaming wild and they're looking at all these things that they want to do. They're exposed to a lot more things because of how much more free time that they have. But I also think that's when a lot of dreams are destroyed. Because, you know, when youth would rather spend their time in a studio singing and the parents was like, no, you need to focus on that summer work, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it should be an even balance between school and, you know, empowering those dreams and, you know, just pushing the young people to be more involved in the community, give, advocate, and volunteer. Because those are the things that really make up, you know, our community. Those are the things that, you know, help us move forward. The laws that are being made now are going to affect us as adults. It's not going to affect Orrin when he's old and wrinkly. You know what I mean?
Old and wrinkly, that term was old and wrinkly.
Had to make sure
Not too far away from you guys.
all right.
But like I think you know that will, you know, allow us as, you know, people to really understand. Like, if I understand what your dreams are, I know how I can help you get there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or how I can't help you get there. But if I don't know anything about your dreams, I don't know if, you know, Parker could be the connect that you need. You know what I mean? So I think you know, just empower each other's dreams and just, you know, actually try to listen, because I know I talk a lot. So I think you know, just listen a lot more to what people are saying around you, because I think, you know, a lot of the things, whether we like it or not, that we hear is very beneficial.
Definitely. Anything in closing, Anthony?
Of course, I love to close. I think parents should just surround their child with love and positivity. If they're believing in your child's dreams, they're going to want you to be successful in life. They're going to want you to do that summer work. They want you to join a club or join a community center. So definitely being surrounded by that love and positivity.
Definitely. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I'd like to thank my panel of students today and wish all of you a happy, healthy, and productive summer. And remember to live united. Thank you.